Just waking up, the view from outside our bedroom window. Snow. Birds and snow.
Another weather alert day. It is cold.
Another weather alert day.
I'm Bill Wixie, and we do have
Big
a
snow
number of school
outside.
closures and delays this
Got
morning
some
because of
Temple
the
on the
winter
dock
weather,
on
and you
the
can see those
turntable.
scrolling across the bottom of your screen. We have team coverage
And a
for you
rare
this
sight
morning.
here in the Seattle area. That's right, snow day in Seattle, a rare occurrence around here, so gets us kind of excited. Traffic shuts down, news alert day, right? But today I wanted to talk about this I picked up a few days ago. Temple of the Dog, the repress. Finding originals of this record is almost impossible, and they go for a lot of money. A&M Records officially released it in April of 1991. But from what I understand, this record was written fairly quickly. Andrew Wood had passed away. This was Chris Cornell's roommate and good friend. He had passed away in March. And this album was recorded in about 2 weeks. And released fairly soon. And maybe, I don't know, Seattle folklore, but there's early precedent of this before A&M Records got a hold of it. A&M would go on to make 70,000 copies of this, and it was kind of a flop from what I understand in the beginning, but not until later. Would we hear? I did pick up this repress. There's a double LP, I think it's a 45s or something that they made in like some big expensive audiophile pressing for almost $50. This is good enough for me. It's like $25. Picked it up at Silver Platters. I wanted to talk about this record because a lot of people don't know that this isn't just like a supergroup record, right? These bands collaborating and coming together to do this thing, which is sort of how it was marketed by MTV around 92. Yeah, right around 92 when Pearl Jam became popular. This record was made in 1990 before Pearl Jam was a thing, all right? Well, Pearl Jam was called, it was named after a basketball player, Mookie Blaylock. Sometimes I can pull that out of my brain and sometimes I can't. Had to look it up. Mookie Blaylock was the name of the band that Stone Gossard, Jeff Ament, and brought up this newcomer from SoCal down there, San Diego, known as Eddie Vedder. And they made Mookie Blaylock, which would later become Pearl Jam. Before Pearl Jam, this was recorded, and this is the first studio, high quality studio recording that Eddie Vedder ever stepped in front of a microphone around. Okay, so that's some of the history of this record. It wasn't super popular when it was first released in 1990. One thing I really respect about Chris Cornell, so that's the supergroup part of it, by the way, is Chris Cornell, and you got Eddie Vedder on the same record doing this right supergroup thing, which I don't like the fact that it was marketed that way, because this was more of an act of mourning. Andrew Wood from the band Mother Love Bone, who had just been signed to Polymore Records, passed away from a heroin overdose. And the Seattle music community, these guys were tight during that time. Chris Cornell and Jeff Ament and Stone Gossard and some of these guys, they played together. Malfunction was started by Andrew Wood back when he was just a teenager. And losing him was incredibly difficult. And a healthy thing that Chris did as a younger man around his grief was to write it down. Going through something, in a lot of pain, really loved his friend, and wrote this record, which is amazing. Had a couple of hits again, like around 92, 93, which was Hunger Strike and Say Hello to Heaven. There's some parts where Kurt had some animosity towards the Seattle music scene blowing up during that time. It's important to understand that Kurt, you know, the Melvins, some of these bands that were from Montesano, like way out on the coast, rural, Kurt was from Aberdeen, Washington, right? And it was a mix, you know what I'm saying? But in the city, you had, you know, again, Jeff Ament, Stone Gossard, Mark Arm from Mudhoney. You know, these guys were community. There was a bit of drama around the record because Andrew's family started, you know, well, it was supposed to be for charity, and I'm sure Chris helped out a lot with that. This is he said, she said. I don't want to get into the drama parts as much, but it's important to mention that because one of the studio guys, I don't know the whole story, but I know one of the studio guys was more on the family side, or Andrew Wood's wife's side, and kept a hold of those tapes and didn't release them until around 2015 is when they were finally let out of the vault or whatever. I believe it's around 2015, and they repressed the album. They also did a few reunion shows before Chris passed in 2017. Unfortunately, I wish he would have, I don't know, listened more to his words that he wrote down in this album before thinking about, you know, I don't know. Depression is a strange, freaking horrible animal, and it's always the things that, it's just sad that Chris also went the way of a freaking Seattle rock star. But love that record. Wanted to give you a little more history on it in case you didn't know. So yes, as I'm heading out, thoughts around creativity and going through a hard time. I think that's a really cool thing to remember about the music that Chris wrote at that time, was doing something creative with it, you know, is like putting energy out, where, you know, most of life and just getting through life sometimes is just an energy suck, you know what I'm saying? It takes energy to get up in the morning a lot of times, and going through a friend or a loved one passing away, just another horrible energy suck. And for Chris to just kind of who he was, put that into a creative act, I think is a really cool little life lesson out of the record. And again, you know, Chris leaving us is just incredibly sad. Gonna take off, and hey, I'll take you with me for some bonus content on snow in Seattle. Why not? Oh, there's trees down. Old northwestern trees can't handle the snow, the weight. Yep, put my Temple of the Dog record on a cassette tape here. Take with me into the snow. Leaving out the back door, because that's usually how it goes. Vans. Oh yeah, the van is covered with, oh yeah, this is my sign I see every time I leave my house. It's a good little reminder. Good old Prince the van. Chrysler Town and Country. He is the Cadillac minivans. This is something I do, by the way, because there's a lot of car theft around here. Oh, got another yesterday's coffee cup in here. You'd be thinking, who'd want to steal that piece? Peeling off. Minivan. There's a lot of tools back here. Yep. What I like to do is take my door key off. And if I'm gonna warm this thing up a little bit, I can lock it from the outside. All right, old cold engine sounds better now. Just used a rake, it's fine.
Look at the trees! Look at the trees! Love it! Snow on the trees. Amazing. The streets are very wet. Not a problem driving. Not at all.
Got a gig downtown, and this is very cool. This is the apartments. I've actually been in this building. I had a friend back in 1985. It's music related as well, so this is kind of neat. Probably not gonna be able to park in here, but yeah, man, wow. Right over there, those units. I had a friend who lived there, and we used to go to concerts down here at the Coliseum, and you could park over here for free back in the day. We could stay with him, and we'd crash at his place overnight, you know, stay late. Because concerts got out later, you know, back then. And he was paying like $400 a month back in the day to rent this. It was a condo. I believe he was renting a condo. But yeah, you know, we didn't have Microsoft back then. There wasn't really a tech industry. We basically had Boeing as the biggest employer. But Tower Records was right down the street here, which was awesome. You could just walk to Tower Records now. There's condos where Tower Records used to be. There was a mural. I did a video a while back, and there was a mural in that video. I basically changed a headlight my car in the parking lot, did a video about it. Mural in the background that was on the old Tower Records after it had closed. That whole building is gone.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
And all done here. Tool belt off, and off we go. And yeah, I didn't work in even the same side of the complex, but it was still kind of cool and nostalgic to be in that same building. I did talk to this older woman who was coming out of her condo, I guess it was, and I asked her, how old's this building, you know? Because sometimes memory it looks like the building. I'm pretty sure, you know, I remember where Tower Records was down here. It's like right over there. And she's like, oh yeah, this has been here since 1967. And she was telling me she had lived here since then. And she remembered Tower Records. But yeah, this was his view of the Space Needle from the room, right? $400 a month. Nowadays, that is around yeah, I would say at least $4,000 a month to rent that place now. Kind of sad. I looked it up, adjusted for inflation, and that would be about $1,100, a little over, about $1,200 a month, adjusted for inflation. Today's money to rent, and it's like $4,000 a month. There's no wonder people can't afford to live here. It's crazy. And that's being generous, $4,000 a month for a view of the Space Needle like that, this close to downtown. Amazing. But here's some stuff I did. Put up a TV, installed a dimmer, fixed some electrical issue in the kitchen, and yeah, various handyman type of stuff. That's what I do. Who cares, right? Okay. I believe this was the block right here where Tower Records used to stand. And now it's just condos that cover this whole block. Tore the whole block down. I wanted to take you by also, there's no snow down here at all anymore. It's getting evening. It's 4:30 here in February, early February, as I'm recording this. Easy Street Records. everybody knows as in West Seattle. It's a little ways from here. But Easy Street used to be right here on Mercer. Back when I shopped there a couple of times back in the day. Competing with the big boys down there. Old Matt Vaughn. Easy Street Records. Macklemore, if anybody's familiar with Macklemore and the song Thrift Shop, right before he had to close this location, it seemed like it was like right around that time before Easy Street closed down here and moved to West Seattle. They did a concert on the roof of Easy Street down here. I'll show you where it is. And it's ironic that a bank took it over. A freaking bank bought, you know, his lease. He was leasing the property, of course, you know, and the lease was up or whatever. The bank moved in. It was right up here. It's the Metropolitan Market. We got the Seattle Center. Climate Pledge Arena, it's called now. It used to be called the Seattle Center. And then there was a Coliseum, which was a smaller venue here on Mercer, which was just off on the side back there. Anyway, right up here, lights turning green. And we got a performer over here to the right. So, dude. All right, here it is. This was right here on the corner. Point at it. Here we go. Driving slow. Okay, right there. This was Easy Street.
Of October 9th, 2012, the day that our debut album, The Heist, is released. Thank you all for coming out. We're gonna play a couple songs on the roof for you guys. Is that cool? Today has been absolutely incredible. I woke up this morning, rolled over, got on the internet, and realized that our album was #1 in the entire country on iTunes. Because of you guys right here. And someone hit me up with the Twitter and was like, what are you gonna do now that you're all blown up and everything? And I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go to a goddamn thrift shop.
What?
And yeah, that's where Macklemore did Thrift Shop. So yeah, there you go. That's about all I got. Thanks for watching. Andrew Wood, rest in peace. Chris Cornell, say hello to heaven, Promised Land, and all of that, and those songs.